The billionaire's hand stopped in midair. The fork hovered inches above his plate as he stared at the folded napkin the waitress had quietly slipped beside his coffee. He had come to the small roadside diner seeking anonymity, hoping to escape the endless pressure of boardrooms, headlines, and security teams. Yet the words written on that tiny piece of paper instantly drained the color from his face. "You're being watched." For a long moment, he couldn't breathe. His eyes scanned the restaurant. Families laughed over breakfast. A truck driver sat alone near the window. An elderly couple shared pancakes at a corner table. Everything appeared normal. But something deep inside him knew those words weren't a joke. Before we continue, take a moment to like this video, comment where you're watching from, share this story with someone who believes in kindness and second chances, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories that remind us that even small acts of courage can change lives forever. Ethan Sterling was one of the wealthiest men in America. Financial magazines called him a genius. Television networks described him as a visionary entrepreneur who built a billion-dollar technology empire from nothing. To the world, he was successful beyond imagination. But success often hides loneliness. For months, Ethan had felt trapped inside his own life. Every meeting felt calculated. Every conversation felt transactional. Every smiling face seemed connected to money, influence, or personal gain. 3 years earlier, his wife had passed away after a long illness. Since then, his world had become painfully quiet. The massive mansion felt empty. The awards lining his office walls brought no comfort. The billions in his bank accounts couldn't fill the space left behind. That particular morning, Ethan had left his security detail behind and driven for hours without telling anyone where he was going. He needed silence. He needed to feel normal. That's how he ended up in the small diner sitting on the edge of a forgotten highway. The waitress who served him appeared to be in her early 20s. Her name tag read, Mia. She moved quickly between tables, balancing trays while offering warm smiles to customers. Yet when she handed him the coffee refill and slipped him the note, Ethan noticed something unusual. Fear. Her eyes carried a warning. Trying to remain calm, Ethan unfolded the napkin again beneath the table. There was another sentence written below the first. "Don't look around too much. Just listen." His heartbeat accelerated. Moments later, Mia returned to wipe a nearby table. Without making eye contact, she quietly placed a sugar packet beside him. Inside the folded paper was another message. "The man in the gray jacket arrived 20 minutes after you. He's been watching you ever since." Ethan resisted the urge to turn his head. At first, he assumed it was paranoia. Wealth attracted attention. People recognized him all the time. But then he remembered something. Over the past few weeks, strange incidents had occurred. Anonymous emails. Unusual phone calls that ended in silence. Reports from his cybersecurity team about attempts to access company files. His stomach tightened. What if this wasn't random? What if someone truly was following him? As the morning continued, Ethan carefully observed reflections in the diner windows. Eventually, he spotted the man Mia had described. Gray jacket. Dark baseball cap. Eyes fixed in Ethan's direction. The realization sent chills through him. For the first time in years, the billionaire felt vulnerable. Yet what surprised him most wasn't the threat. It was the fact that a waitress, a complete stranger, had noticed and cared enough to warn him. The diner became busier as lunchtime approached. Ethan debated calling his security team immediately. But something made him hesitate. Instead, he waited. A few minutes later, Mia approached with the bill. Tucked beneath it was one final note. "There's something you should know about that man. Please meet me behind the diner in 5 minutes." Ethan should have ignored it. Every rational instinct told him to leave. Yet curiosity won. 5 minutes later, he stepped outside. Behind the diner, near a row of garbage bins and delivery trucks, Mia stood nervously with her arms crossed. The moment she saw him, tears filled her eyes. What she revealed next changed everything. Her younger brother had worked for a private investigation company. A few days earlier, he had discovered records showing that Ethan Sterling was being tracked. Someone had paid a large amount of money to gather information about his routines, travel habits, and personal movements. Before he could report what he found, he disappeared. No phone calls. No messages. Nothing. The police believed he had simply left town. Mia didn't believe it. She was terrified. And when she recognized Ethan entering the diner that morning, she immediately noticed the same man who had appeared in surveillance photos her brother had secretly shown her. For a moment, Ethan said nothing. He stared at the frightened young woman standing before him. Most people would have stayed silent. Most people would have protected themselves. Yet despite her fear, she had chosen to help a stranger. The realization touched him more deeply than he expected. He promised he would investigate. That afternoon, Ethan activated every resource available to him. Private investigators. Cybersecurity experts. Former law enforcement consultants. Within days, a disturbing picture emerged. Someone inside his own corporation had been organizing a campaign against him. The goal wasn't merely financial theft. It was a hostile takeover designed to remove him permanently from the company he had built. Several executives had secretly formed alliances with outside investors. They needed detailed information about Ethan's personal life and movements. The surveillance operation had spiraled far beyond legal boundaries. And Mia's missing brother had accidentally discovered evidence connecting everyone involved. As investigators dug deeper, the conspiracy began unraveling. Emails surfaced. Financial transactions were exposed. Hidden communications were uncovered. Within weeks, arrests followed. Several high-ranking executives lost their positions. The investors withdrew. The takeover collapsed. Most importantly, authorities finally located Mia's brother. He had been hiding after receiving threats and fearing for his safety. Once investigators reached him, he provided critical evidence that helped complete the case. The day Mia received the phone call confirming her brother was safe, she broke down crying in the middle of the diner. Customers applauded. Employees hugged her. For the first time in months, hope returned to her family. But Ethan wasn't finished. The experience had changed him. Throughout the investigation, he found himself visiting the diner regularly. Not because of the case. Because it reminded him of something he had forgotten. Human connection. The people there weren't interested in his wealth. They didn't care about stock prices or business acquisitions. They cared about one another. They laughed together. Supported one another. Looked out for one another. And among them was Mia, whose courage had protected a stranger despite her own hardships. One evening, Ethan learned more about her story. She worked double shifts. She cared for her mother. She had abandoned her college dreams because the family couldn't afford tuition. Yet she never complained. She simply kept moving forward. The more Ethan learned, the more he admired her resilience. Several months later, he invited her and her family to visit his company's headquarters. They assumed it was merely a thank you gesture. It wasn't. Standing before employees, investors, and executives, Ethan shared the story publicly for the first time. He explained how a simple act of bravery from a waitress had exposed corruption, protected innocent people, and changed his perspective on life. Then he announced something unexpected. A scholarship fund. Fully funded. Not only for Mia, but for dozens of hardworking students facing financial hardship. The room erupted into applause. Mia cried openly. Her mother couldn't stop smiling. And Ethan felt something he hadn't experienced in years. Purpose. The scholarship program expanded rapidly. Hundreds of students eventually received opportunities they never thought possible. Each scholarship carried a simple message. One act of kindness can save a life. Years passed. The diner remained open. The scholarship fund continued growing. And every year, Ethan returned to the same booth where everything began. The same table. The same coffee. The same memories. One rainy afternoon, he unfolded a fresh napkin and wrote a note of his own. When Mia arrived with the coffee refill, he handed it to her. The note contained only one sentence. "Thank you for seeing me when nobody else did." Because that was the truth. The world had seen a billionaire. A businessman. A public figure. But Mia had seen a human being who needed help. And in doing so, she reminded him that the greatest wealth in life isn't measured in dollars, companies, or success. It's measured in compassion. It's measured in courage. It's measured in the moments when ordinary people choose kindness even when nobody is watching. If this story has touched your heart so far, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone special, leave a comment, and subscribe to support more inspiring stories like this. Special request: comment below with the words, "Kindness changes lives," if you believe a single act of courage can create a ripple effect that transforms the world. As the rain continued falling outside that little diner, Ethan looked through the window at the people gathering inside. Some were rich. Some were struggling. Some were young. Some were old. But all of them carried invisible battles. And all of them needed the same thing. A reminder that goodness still exists. Because sometimes, the smallest note can change the biggest life. And sometimes, the person who saves you isn't a hero in a cape. It's simply a waitress brave enough to write 4 unforgettable words. "You're being watched." And because she did, countless lives would never be the same again. The end.